The Cavs went up against the Thunder yesterday, and this was the best game of the season. This was the game that everything was waiting for. Everybody waited for this game. Every company was waiting for this game. ESPN, House of Highlights, everybody, TNT, everybody's waiting for this game. And who would have thought in 2025, the two best teams in the league are going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder? I wouldn't have thought that. You wouldn't have thought that. Nobody would have thought that. And if you say that you would have thought that, you're lying, because there's no way possible you could have said that. 2 years ago, the Thunder were around the bottom 5, if not the last place in the West. And then the Cavs, they were competing, but nobody thought they would be like this. And they didn't make any crazy changes. They kind of just adapted to each other. They grew with each other, and then they just added a couple of pieces here and there, tweaked their bench a little bit, tweaked their roster a little bit, and everything worked out for them. And yesterday was the best game of the season. This was the game that was like a playoff type of setting, a playoff type of competition, and it lived up to the hype. There were 30 lead changes and 8 ties this game. The game was close throughout the whole time from beginning to end. Amazing shot making, amazing defense. I know in the third quarter it didn't look like it, but amazing defense, just tough shot making, amazing individual stats, amazing individual defensive play, offensive play. Everything just went so well this game, and we couldn't have asked for a better game last night. To start off the first half, like I said, everything was back and forth. Everything was competition, very high level of competition, very high level of physicality, very high level of shot making. And OKC did good this half, so did the Cavs. They did a really great job on Donovan Mitchell, specifically the defense with the Thunder. They didn't let Donovan Mitchell get his first field goal until like the second quarter, and I think it was around the end of the second quarter. His second field goal came like in the third or fourth quarter. He ended the game with like 11 points. That's amazing defense from the Thunder, but they made it work, and they were there the whole time. And even the shots that were made by either side, it was shots that they had to work for. There was no easy nothing this game. There were turnovers that were forced, and I have to give the Cavs bigs a lot of credit. And why? Because the amount of passes, the amount of playmaking, the amount of, just humbleness that you have to let your ego go as a center in the league, as a big man in the league, especially in a situation, in a position that's quote unquote fallen off in the NBA, is so great. And that's what's making this team so much of a threat, because not only are they shooting the three at a very high percentage, they have paint defense, they have paint offense in the two centers that they have. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, there were times where they even passed each other the ball. There was time where Evan Mobley threw the ball up for Allen, and there were times where Mobley would miss the shot and Allen would go up and just tip it in. There were so many times this game where the Cavs were just so dominant on offensive rebounds, and they had timely ones, especially in the fourth quarter. I'm going to get to the fourth quarter, but hold on. The Thunder, first half, great shot making, great defense, and they kind of played this game. I feel like, in my opinion, the way I viewed it, the vibes of the Thunder playing this game, it was more like, let's go here, we're going to play our game, we're going to get stops, we're going to win the game. But they didn't really match the physicality and the tempo of the Cavs until like the third quarter. Mind you, yes, I understand everything was together. Everything was like, they were damn neck and neck the whole game. I know that, right? But it felt like equivalent level of talent until the fourth quarter. And I've mentioned the fourth quarter a couple times. Let's get into it. In the fourth quarter, the Cavs just wanted it a little bit more. The Cavs wanted this win a little more, and it was on their home court, so they did have a little bit more to fight for. They did have a little bit more of a reason to win, besides the fact that both of these teams are on a double-digit winning streak, and they came out. They did good, but there's a couple of possessions that the Cavs forced turnovers. There were a couple of possessions where the Cavs got extra rebounds offensively. There were a couple of possessions where it was actually one possession where they gave it to Hardenstein, and it was him versus Allen on a 1v1, and Allen got the block. Cavs go on a run, the fast break, and Mitchell hits a three. This type of plays are the reason why the Cavs won this game. Ty Jerome had a couple of steals this quarter where he forced the ball out of the Thunder's hands and went on the fast break. And not only that, he got the buckets himself. He got a couple of floaters that fell in. He got a couple of runners. He did everything he had to do this quarter. And these are the plays that the Cavs made to help them win the game. These are the plays that made the difference. These are the little plays that created the distance and the separation between the Cavs and the Thunder, because the Thunder was still in it. Even though I feel like they were just playing their game and didn't really mind too much what the Cavs were doing, and they were really trying to make sure they weren't thrown off their balance and their rhythm. This game was decided in the fourth quarter by these little plays, by the plays of Ty Jerome, Jared Allen, by the plays of even Darius Garland at the end. The bucket that kind of like sealed it, the bucket that put the dagger in the game, the bucket that just made the Thunder have to call a timeout, put the Cavs up by 7, and you knew the Thunder needed a 3 at this point, which, another thing, the Thunder shot the 3, but they didn't really shoot it that good yesterday compared to how they usually do, and that's another thing that affected them, and that's credit to the Cavs defense. I mean, the Cavs were there. And another thing that makes the Cavs so great is they have the two centers like I spoke about, right? And they're humble enough to let their egos go, let their pride go, and play together, right? Make it work. But they also have a lot of guard play. They have multiple guys that could put the ball on the floor and dribble up. They have a couple of guys that could bring the ball up. They have guys that could play make. They pass the ball. They look for each other. They all make plays. And they have guys that are just going to do a little bit more than a lot of other teams. They have, like Ty Jerome yesterday, the steals. He had like 2 or 3 steals back to back. He forced 2 or 3 turnovers. And in the second quarter also, he had a couple of times where he got to the basket. He went on like a damn near a little run himself. Evan Mobley was great. They played through him in the second quarter. They needed that. And then in the fourth quarter, they kind of went away from him a little bit, but they went right back to him at the end. And, he did his job. He did what he was supposed to do. Jared Allen, honestly, to me, was the story of this game. Besides Darius Garland at the end, that was some very clutch shot making. The Thunder defense did really, really good on Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. They really performed defensively. I think the Thunder just couldn't match up with the Cavs when it came down to centers, the big man in the paint, because that's where the Cavs pretty much beat them. That's where the Cavs dominated. You look at the two centers on the Cavs, both of them almost had a triple-double. Both of them had a double-double. One has 6 assists, the other one has 7. I mean, these are centers, man. These are big men. There's times where Mobley had to put the ball on the court and he got to the basket. There were times that even, let's go to the Thunder. There were times where Shea was just unguardable. 31 points. Unfortunately, I feel like the Thunder just need a little bit more from him and just need a little bit more from everybody. Everybody tries to do their thing, but I feel like you just need a little bit more from Shea, because I don't think, and I know the stat line might say something different, but I don't remember even witnessing Shea miss a shot. I feel like every shot he took went in. And I feel like they kind of just need a little bit more from him. He was just trying to make the right play his game, but they just need a little bit more extra turnovers to force in the fourth quarter. And usually that's what the Thunder do. The Thunder are usually the team that are forcing turnovers, throughout the game, and especially in the fourth quarter. But they got beat yesterday, and that's because in the fourth quarter, they didn't really force turnovers. They weren't as aggressive as the Cavs. They were really trying to get the best shot available, trying to play, safe defense. And the Cavs just made a couple of risky plays, and it paid off. Now, Giannis versus Victor Wembanyama, Bucks versus Spurs. This game I thought was going to be more entertaining in terms of like Giannis going up against Wembanyama and their individual stat line and performance. I did not think the Spurs were going to compete with the Bucks at all. I thought like this was going to be a nice win for the Bucks. And it turned out to be exactly that. I mean, I felt the vibes from the first quarter. The Bucks were gonna win this game by a dominant, performance. They were gonna be up double digits, but I did not think that the Spurs were gonna come back and fight back in the third quarter. I mean, they fought back, and I think they brought it back into like a 1-2 possession game, probably 3 possession game. But then the Bucks went right back on the run, and the Spurs just couldn't maintain that. And that's something that the Spurs have to grow up through and fix about their team, which they will. Is when you go on the run, you have to keep that same energy throughout the whole game. You can't just go on the run in the third quarter and then just like go back to how you were playing in the first half. You need to keep that energy. You need to stay together and make it work throughout the rest of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. That energy needs to be there. It needs to be dominant, and it needs to be contagious throughout the whole entire roster. But they'll figure it out. Giannis versus Victor Wembanyama did not live up to the hype at all. Giannis is dominated, and there was times where Victor Wembanyama took shots and they just didn't go through. And sometimes it was because of Giannis, sometimes because of other people on the team, and sometimes it was just because of him. But there's not much to say about this game. Everything kind of just happened how I expected it to happen. I wish it was a little bit more entertaining, but it's the Spurs, and like I said, I don't think the Spurs are going to go far, but I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make it work for themselves eventually. But anyways, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is Real Talk with E. Safety.